me what you were feeling on that final lap.
A lot of excitement, definitely some nerves kicking in. I started to hear people saying, like, you're going to Paris, but I knew there were so many strong women behind me, and I was running scared a little bit.
Emily, you opened the gap too at the end. Pick up the pace. Were you feeling better as the race went on? Like, how did the laps play out for you throughout the race?
Yeah, I was hurting earlier on than I expected, so I actually looked ahead at the lead vehicle at one point and I saw Dina Castro sitting there, and I've read her book before, and I really was thinking about it in the moment, how she has always said, like, the power of, like, the positive mind and positivity, so I was like, okay, think of Dina Castro, think like her right now. And I just tried to hang on to the group as long as I could, and towards the end I was like, just keep running this pace, and yeah, I'm excited. I think we're sending a really good team.
Dakotah, when you came across the line, you said, I've been waiting forever for this moment. The moment is here. How does it feel?
It feels so good. If I've dreamed of this once, I've dreamed of it 1,000 times. It almost doesn't feel real. I can't tell you how many times I've pictured holding this American flag, and I don't know if I'm ever going to take it off.
We're going to open up for the room for questions. If you have a question, raise your hand and we'll bring a microphone over to you. Right here in the corner.
Fiona, for you in Orlando, what were your thoughts on the way the city received the marathoners and the show the city put on itself?
It was absolutely amazing out there, the support. Honestly, like, seeing the course, I was excited about the course. I thought it was really nice, but I thought it might be really quiet in some stretches, and that was not the case at all. Like, it was absurdly loud in the city center, and then it was still, like, full support the whole way, pretty much.
Other questions? And then John.
Fiona and then Dakotah, you made some courageous moves there against some very experienced runners, inexperienced Fiona at this. What was it in your training or in your mindset that gave you the courage to make those moves, and Dakotah to rally back and push again after she was pushing so?
Well, I'm gonna say Dakotah started it. But I guess just it felt right. Maybe a little bit of not knowing what I was getting myself into was a good thing. But yeah, I'm glad it worked out.
My whole life, my dad's told me that anybody can beat anybody on any given day. So, especially like later in the race when I was passing Betsy and Sarah Hall, I just was telling myself, hey, like I can be just as good as these women, and I can make these moves and be confident doing it.
John.
So this is a question for Emily. So after mile 18, when Fiona started to pull away, and you kind of let her, I guess, what were you thinking? Were you thinking this is her first marathon, we'll catch her, or were you thinking you were just going to be conservative? What were you thinking?
I thought Fiona looked great, so I tried to just keep my eyes on her, and I thought if I just kept running my pace, maybe I could reel her back in. Maybe I could pick it up the last few miles, but I was hurting a bit, and so I was like, just top three, meet this team. So yeah, Fiona ran a great race. That's an amazing debut. So I wanted to just hold my position. It did help. I thought the crowds were great today. There were some sections that were really loud, and then there were other sections where we could like hear people tell us like how close everyone was. So it was very helpful. So I thought that was fun. But I just tried to hang on.
Fiona, we were getting reports from the course that you weren't taking fluids. Was that correct? Did you take fluids during the race?
I took fluids. I missed one bottle by mistake at mile 10, but this was my first time picking up fluids during a race.
Did Amy give you any special advice about how to go out there and attack?
Yeah, definitely just like lots of advice on the details, and also just like keeping composure throughout the build and the race itself. So it's been so valuable to have her in my corner.
This is for Fiona. Your coaches have said they think you'd be a really good marathoner. I'm just curious why, what made today be your first marathon? Why didn't you do it earlier?
I guess it wasn't necessarily the plan all along for this to be my debut, but it's just kind of the way that training has worked out. My first half was only 2 years ago, so I guess I'm just young still. So this was kind of when it naturally made sense in the progression of my training.
This question is for Dakotah. You're from a smaller, good size but less known training group, Minnesota Distance League. You also work a job, you're not a full-time athlete. What does this tell you, what does this tell all of us about Chris Lundstrom as a coach and the kind of group that you have, and what does that mean to you? Thank you.
I think Lendo's in the room here, hopefully, and he's just a mastermind. I trust him with my life. I don't ever question his training. I have so much confidence in him, and even when I say, hey, I think I'm ready to bump up, I think I'm ready to handle more mileage, he's super open to listening to my feedback. Minnesota Distance Elite is amazing. We do encourage people to have, jobs on the side, just because you can only run so many hours in the day, and it's pretty easy to work a side gig. I have to just say so much thanks to Minnesota Distance League, because when I graduated college, nobody was looking at me to, sign on their team. Nobody was expecting me to be where I am today, and they took me on, and I'll never be able to thank them enough for that.
A couple of the entrants today were in their 5th Olympic trials. I wanted to know if any of you came into today's race thinking, this is just the first of 2, 3, 5. Were any of you thinking about LA for today, or just Paris?
I was just thinking about today, to get to run the race you're in, not worried about what's happening in 4 years, just had to show up today.
Emily, as the American record holder, obviously the women's field is so strong right now, but at the same time the international field has only gotten better. What do you think it's going to take for another American woman to medal at the Olympics this summer?
I think it's going to take preparing well for the conditions. So I think this is probably pretty close to what we're going to get in Paris. I'd have to look closer at the weather. Running some big hills and training, preparing for the conditions, and preparing for maybe a faster finish later, just because people are getting faster in the marathons. So kind of trying to do it all. But I think American women's distance running is improving as well, and I think we have as good a shot as ever if this finish really high.
Your first marathon, and you head into the last lap by charging up the only hill on the course. Almost, you had a small lead, and it was really when you broke away. I talked with Pat Turney in Houston when he qualified. He told me to watch out for you. When you went up that hill, I said either it's a rookie mistake or you are just brimming with confidence. Obviously, it was the later. Tell us about your confidence with a lap to go.
This is gonna sound corny, but I just really didn't want to have any regrets today. So I wasn't sure at that stage if it would be a mistake or if it would pay off. So I just wanted to go for it and see what happened. And I do trust the training and the preparation that I put in. So and seeing Pat's run in Houston was definitely a big inspiration.
Fiona, your coaches have said, you're maybe a natural born marathoner. When did you realize it might be your event?
I've kind of been told since high school that the marathon would eventually make sense for me. But probably in the last 2 years, running professionally and just seeing, on the track, to be a great 10K runner, to 62, and that's really not me. And there's something about the road that's just really cool, like spending time in your own head and the way that the races you get to work together and stuff. So I don't know, there's something really magical about the road.
A question for Dakotah. What were you thinking when you took the lead? What was your impression when it seemed like you fell out of contention, and what physically, mentally brought you back into contention and onto an Olympic team?
When I took the lead, I was pretty upset with myself. I had told my coach and my family I was not going to do that, and that's kind of the way I race normally. Is I like to be up front, but I tried to get back out of the lead as soon as possible, and then when it seemed to like really open up and it felt like the team was running away from me, I just reminded myself it wasn't over. There's a lot of race left. I've done so many marathons, and I know that not everybody's going to close really hard. So I just I held on tight, and when I passed those women, I just reminded myself it's not over.
We've got time for one more. Over here.
One of your coaches is Amy Gregg, the 2016 trials winner. How great was that, having that experience and leading you into the marathon? And what kind of great advice did she give you for your first marathon?
Yeah, it's been super valuable. Both Amy and Alistair have been awesome. But yeah, just Amy's personal experience on everything from like just little details like decorating bottles to bigger stuff like race strategy and just making the commitment to the point in the race where it really does start to hurt. It's been really valuable and just really fun, honestly, to hear about her experiences. She's very humble, so she doesn't like to brag, but.
Dakotah Lindwurm, Emily Sisson, Fiona O'Keefe. That's Team USA. Thank you. Congratulations.